Welcome to the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi After the Show podcast. Thank you for hanging out with us. Remember, also, you can see the video version of this on YouTube.
Parents know when you're sick. Parents know when something is wrong. From 3 Things to Know today in the show, we touched on this. New research, medical research shows that parents, 91 or 2% of the time, which is a high percentage, they know when a kid is really sick. And it's like, yes, obviously. And they're saying it even needs to be considered when it's the school nurse or, a doctor examining a kid. You need to talk to the parents. What do you know? What do you see? What are you seeing?
Yeah.
And it's like, yes. But there's no worse feeling, though, backing that up. There's no worse feeling than as a parent, like getting that call. You're at work, because this happens. Mm-hmm. You get the call and you're like, oh, they're sick. And you're thinking, man, that big project was coming up. I wonder if they just want to go home. And then you go get them at school and they're sick.
Yeah. Is that the first thing that popped into your head, too? A lot of times for me, it was that. It's like, okay, is this legit?
You really sick?
Well, I think the struggle there, it's the either side of it. As a parent, and some parents will, always take the, all right, I don't really know if this is the case. And then, some will go the other side immediately, not, assess it. It's a struggle because you really have to use all those innate parental skills.
Your intuition. You use your intuition. Hopefully you know your child really well. I mean, I just felt like it depends on the parent, too. When I was a kid, I did play that card a lot. I've told you about my childhood. I was an anxious child. I was an insecure child, and I felt very uncomfortable at school a lot of the time. I was bullied. School was not a good place for me. My home life and grandma. When my mom was working, mom and dad were both working, I would call my grandmother, and she lived 5 minutes from the school, and she would come get me. No questions asked. Hey, baby, are you okay? There were times, and I know that I called her when it was just really anxiety, when I just really couldn't be in the school environment, and I knew she wouldn't question. Now, I remember her looking over at me one time. I'm in the front seat with her in her Oldsmobile, and she is...
Well, that dates it.
Yeah. Well, she always drove that. She always drove an Oldsmobile, and she cut her eyes over at me, and she was like, I could tell that I was busted. Or faking it. But I just wanted to be at her house in a cocoon,
Yeah.
That's probably a very common thing. I think I remember some of that, with our daughters in not specific cases where it was difficult, it wasn't about bullying or anything like that. There were just certain days where it was just difficult to go. You feel you can't overcome the challenge and you have to then coach through that. And that's the part. Maybe sometimes it gets to a place where the first time you'll let it go, but then if it happens a second time and it becomes a pattern, then you have to make the change.
You have a discussion with them. Yeah. But what I'm saying is the reason when I became a parent, I knew to check that box or to open that door to go, is she really sick? Or is she having a day? Because I was very familiar with that game because I played it. Our girls didn't really play that game.
No, they didn't.
They really didn't. Every time they wanted to come home, they really didn't feel well, and we were lucky for that.
The only things around that time period for the girls that were challenges, I think, are the same challenges for everybody in that age group, is middle school.
Oh,
because that's the awkward phase, that's the transition, that's
hard.
All of that.
It's a hard place to be.
And as a kid, I was not prone to. I really was sick if I stayed home, and the reason I enjoyed school was really because of a number of friends. And I guess I was fortunate that I liked being with my friends in addition to that. And so the classes, whatever pressures, and I had some bullying, same thing in elementary school and all that. But I guess it was lucky that none of that was enough for me to try to. But I don't know that my mom, play sick. But I don't think my mom, knowing my mom, as scrutinizing as she was going to err to the side of, you're not.
You would rather face a bully than try to pull one over on your mother.
Well, and the option was challenging for her because there was no other care for us. She was working, my dad was working, so if we were sick, there wasn't necessarily an option unless my grandmother was available and able to, take care of one of us. Pick you up in her
Cadillac, huh?
Right. So,
so look,
I had some anxiety, but I never did use that. If I was sick, I was really sick. If I was claiming sickness, I was sick.
And did any of your kids ever?
Oh yeah, and with me, the way I looked at it is, number one, break out the thermometer. Okay, check that temperature.
That's not gonna lie.
Temperature can't lie.
Right.
And then you know how your child acts. You know
Yes.
how they look. You know, you've been there with them when they've really been sick, so you know what to judge it against.
Yeah.
And I will honestly say I've had kids when they come home and it's like, okay, you're relaxing, you need anything, all that, and then like 2 hours later,
They're fine.
Hey, can I go out and play?
Yeah, and you're like,
I thought you were on your deathbed here.
and well, they
Well,
don't.
I'm feeling better. It's
What
like,
they don't realize is that you've rearranged your whole day for them because there's work and there's life that you rearrange for that, and that's okay. That's part of being a child. They're not supposed to realize that. The bigger conversation here is that thing that can't be explained, that parental intuition. If you have a connection with your child, you know them. When our kids walk in the door, I can tell if something's wrong or something's right. When I would pick them up in carpool all those years in the afternoon, as soon as I would see Taylor or Phoebe walk out, from the sidewalk to the pickup area, I could tell if things were going well, things were not going well. And as soon as they got in the car and closed the door, then I got the real story, because I know that car was their safe harbor and I wanted it to be. But I just feel like that was always true from the time they were very little. I could tell when something was wrong. The same is true if one of them call me right now. From the first word, I can hear, is everything okay? Is everything? And I'm always waiting for it. Hello? And as soon as it's, hey, Mom, everything's great.
Yeah.
But if it's Mom, I immediately become on alert. And the truth of the matter is, hopefully we all have that.
Yeah.
My mother, to this day, knows when something is wrong with me. Same deal, one syllable. If she and I are, if I'm in her presence, or because she's in tune with me.
Yeah. And I think in tune really means knowing the patterns. And to know the patterns, you just have to pay enough attention. It's all about patterns. A change in pattern is what causes your intuition to click in and go, okay, this doesn't match everything else that's been going on.
It is a change in pattern, but for me, it's intuition. It's something I can't touch.
But that's what I'm saying. Those two really are interwoven. You've internalized what you know is normal versus what's not normal. And that comes from paying attention. My grandmother was the one that I just remember her saying that. She said that really for all things in life about paying attention. But, before our, oldest Taylor was born, she was being encouraging, as she always was, saying, honey, you just need to love them and pay attention. And that's it, and that's the main thing. And I think some of that actually came from hindsight from her. She was always an in-tune mother, but she was part of that generation that, kind of not distanced themselves from kids, but it was just treated differently. Like when the adults were together, that was going to be, the kids don't interfere with the adult time and that sort of thing. Very different,
That's
time
not
period.
A great message for those
right.
kids.
And so I think as, she got older and she saw the times changing and realized that was not, always a great thing.
Right.
It was more the reason for her to say, pay attention.
I think, and this is not a slight to dads, but I think women are a little more intuitive emotionally like that, though. I have found that to be true.
Yeah.
I have.
Well, with me,
in our experience, in my experience with me, with my dad, with Murphy as the dad.
With me and the boys,
yeah, Sam.
It was always suspicion.
Yeah.
With Maddie, it was like, sure, I'll come get you now. I'll come get you tomorrow too. You don't even have to worry. I'll come anytime you want. I'm there.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because as a father of two daughters, I mean, I don't know that they would. I don't think they would try to sway me on something like that. But I was pretty balanced in the middle of it. Jodi can tell you that I would question and all that, because you can't be a pushover parent.
Well,
you know what I mean? Otherwise, you're going to get it's
yeah, you're
but
not.
You think I was?
No. Oh no. You were a pushover parent at bedtime and with regards to fun.
Yes.
They could always push you to fun.
Yes, that's true.
Okay, they could push you to go out to eat with the blink of an eye. Things like that are easy to convince you of. I can convince you to go out to eat any day too, which is kind of nice for me. But Sam, you have that stereotypical, classic adoration sort of relationship with Maddie. And I don't know Maddie as well as I know you, but I know you have it with her. And I enjoy watching it.
Yeah.
Because I was a daddy's girl. I was the only girl. And I adored him. He was my model for what a man should be. And he treated me There were only a few times he was hard on me when he was trying to make me tough. I told you those stories about, him being tough on me when coaching me when I would play basketball and stuff like that. But honestly, at the end of the day, it was an unspoken thing, but I knew I could almost get anything. I knew if I said the right words, if I not batted my eyes, but I was a young girl, and I knew that if I really wanted something, I had a way with him that my brother didn't because I was the girl.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Something about that relationship.
It's similar to that, but Maddie and I have a thing now with like Amazon. Like every now and then, probably once a month, I'll get, hey, can you order me some more Diva Wash? Or, hey, I need to get these shoes for a blah, blah, blah. Can you buy these for me? And it's like, yeah, sure, no problem.
She knows.
I know she's working. I know she has money, but it's like.
She knows you're her soft spot.
Yeah.
You can't hide that from her. That's her intuition at work. Yeah. And that's y'all's relationship. It is beautiful. And I don't have boys. We never had boys.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't have a comparison to that, but I mean, that's why I always say being a dad is the favorite job that I've ever had. I've really enjoyed being a father to two daughters.
Girl dad.
What's that?
Girl dad.
Yeah, girl dad, because I mean, no doubt they could sway me on some things, and they've done so many things that have been so touching and just sweet over the years. They're special, but the other part for me was modeling the discipline and modeling how they should be treated by men. That's a big one for me, and that started when they were younger. They see how I treat Jodi.
That's the number one thing they do.
Yeah, exactly. And
is watch that.
And so modeling that to me and seeing them be these, and that's exactly who they are now. They're independent. They respect themselves, and even though they can be in healthy relationships, they've got boundaries. They will speak up. They will talk about anything. They're not, oppressed, I guess is that was
they don't think less of themselves.
Right. So very important, to me. And I don't even know what drives that other than I just wanted that. So
they're your children is what drives you.
It makes the dad part to me, to two daughters being, it is extra special because it's so multidimensional. It's not, it's, yes, you'll do anything. Of course, you'll do anything for all of your children. Yeah. But you'll do anything at any time. But,
a different dynamic.
During those growth years, especially when they're younger and they're coming up, and it's so important that they understand how to respect themselves and their boundaries. And look, Jodi was a great model of that too. But I think the dad modeling that is equally as important. And I know you brought this up to talk about the school thing, but that's why fine. Even at that time, I don't know that I was overly tough, but I did draw the line. I mean, it was not, it was.
You need to go to school.
Yeah, right, exactly. It was always coaching and tough. And I would even say, I understand, I hear you. And look, if it gets really bad there, then you call and we will come get you.
Right.
But right now, you're not running a fever and we know that it's,
right. Yeah, you make those decisions on the daily. You can't have a blanket policy of how it goes. You make those decisions on the daily as a parent. That's parenthood all the way through. Yeah. We're still making decisions on the daily. Yeah. But what I was going to say was that we never had boys, but supposedly it's a similar situation between mothers and boys. I've just never been a boy mom. But there's the potential is that if I had a boy, he would be that to me, that sort of special, sacred little thing that Sam and Maddie have. But I don't know that relationship, but I believe that it exists.
My boys and their moms, it's the wrap around your finger kind of thing. We'll do anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so as a boy who had a mom, and Sam may have the same thing. Too. Right, exactly. As growing up, I was closer to my mom because my mom was the one who was more engaged in what we were doing every day. She was managing the family. She was the one taking us places. My dad was a very hard worker, my dad was who he was, and then he wound up, having his drinking issues and kind of disappeared off the radar for a little while. He was at home, but,
she was the lead parent.
She was the lead parent, and he really, came to regret that later. But once he had, given up alcohol and gone dry and started to engage and become, I guess, more social with the family, it got light years better. Yeah. And then, of course, those last few years with my dad after my mom had passed away were just the best years that I ever had spent, with him, and a gift I wouldn't trade for anything. But my mom absolutely was the one who, I mean, I leaned on for the answers to things. I leaned on for the assurances and the reassurances. My grandmother, same thing. I mean, I think, a boy's relationship with his grandmother is equally as special.
If you're lucky enough to have a grandparent in your life. Not everyone does.
Correct.
My mom wore the pants in our family, too.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that belittling my dad, but it was like the same thing.
Yeah.
If there was discipline, mom doled it out, or, anything like that.
Every family is different. Every family dynamic is different. But I almost feel like, because I know it happened to me, when you become a mother, you don't know this is going to happen. If you're listening to this and you're pregnant, you're expecting, all the things you need for motherhood, for parenthood, are going to come to you naturally once you become a parent, once that baby is in your care and in your life. But I do feel like there's something about the mom brain that just takes over. There are a lot of women making all the decisions like that, the day to day, and being the lead parent like your mom was, I think a lot of moms, you just end up, you don't plan to be that, but it just happens naturally.
Yeah.
I remember picking the pediatrician and picking the school, and this is what we're going to do. What do you think about this? And you were like, yes or no. But I was definitely leading a lot of it because that's the mom brain that shifted on.
Which just amazes me, by the way. So, I mean, it is incredible to watch.
It was natural.
And anybody that I've known over the years that experiences that same thing, our friend Angela, same way. And it's interesting how the mom brain translates, even after, kids grow up and all that, it still exists. And that incredible ability to organize and keep things moving and run things is mind-blowing. I mean, it really is. You don't have to write stuff down, Jodi. It's amazing to me. I mean, I've already forgotten what we said at the beginning of this podcast.
It was about moms knowing when you're really sick. It was about moms knowing when you're really sick.
Another reason I didn't take off too many days for sickness. My mom went from kindergarten through her senior year without ever missing a day.
Wow.
Did she really?
I remember you saying that.
And we were reminded of that occasionally. And
that was probably before the 102 fever, you can't come to school rule. Yeah.
She'd always show us the clipping from the newspaper with, Judith,
That's
went
so
through
cute.
the whole from kindergarten through her senior year in high school and she got a certificate and
That's
everything.
fantastic.
So how
Judy.
are you going to call her, Mom, I'm sick? Well, I was
really?
never sick.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Also,
right.
and Judy still works to this day.
Yes!
2 jobs.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jody podcast.